Welcome to Eric's Perspective. Joining me today is the acclaimed artist, Kenneth Gatewood, known for his watercolors and collages. Kenneth, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you coming out.
And thank you for having me this historical weather we're having.
Exactly. Here we are in Southern California, and the wind is blowing chilly, and there's rain coming down.
And snow.
And snow, exactly. They said it was the first time we've had a blizzard warning in L.A. since the late 50s or something like that.
History making.
Pretty clear. Anyway, but Kenneth, I thought we would start just by kind of going back to the beginning. Like, where were you born and raised?
Okay, born and raised in South Central Los Angeles, one of seven.
Ah, okay. And where were you in the seven?
I was the third.
The third, okay.
And 4 brothers, 3 sisters.
Ah, excellent. Okay. By the way, I'm just curious, any other siblings or artists?
No, I'm the only one. I have a sister. She's a great party designer.
Ah, okay.
And she's great at designing for different events. And then my older brother, we're like 13 months apart.
Oh, no kidding.
And he lives in Minnesota. And he is extremely talented with painting on jeans and shirts and things like that.
Oh, fantastic. That's the thing I think a lot of people don't realize, that creative impulse can express itself in multiple ways. I mean, for you, it's art and visual arts, I should say. And then other people, it's music. Other people, it's design on clothing. Other people, it's various things.
I mean, my dad, he was very influential in my being an artist growing up, and that was back in the 60s.
Oh, okay. And so how was it that he was so influential?
He always just encouraged me to be an artist. Back in the 60s, and my dad worked for MTA, the bus company, which was called the Robert T. Davis back then.
Okay.
And I would draw different things for his co-workers, and he would bring me home the money. He'd sell them to them and bring me home the money.
Oh, no kidding. How beautiful is that? About how old were you when that was taking place, would you say?
Oh, I would say I was about 8 to 10.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I love that, because sometimes parents can be supportive and sometimes they not, so it's kind of a nice thing when that happens like that, I would think.
Yeah. And my mother, she was very staunch in getting me out there, getting me out of my shell mostly.
Yeah.
I remember she had hurt her foot, and she had to go to the foot doctor. And so the foot doctor was telling my mom, this was December, and the watercolor artist that did the Christmas window decorations didn't show up. So she, what happened was, he said, well, I got a son. He can paint on the window for you, Santa Claus, whatever you wanted.
Uh-huh.
And so I had no idea about that. I didn't know what paints to use or anything. But she thrust me in there, and back then we didn't have the internet to look up and see what you had to do.
Right, exactly.
So I seen one gentleman on the street, and I said, "Oh, Mom, stop!" Right? I said, "This is a guy painting a Christmas decoration," and so I asked him what paint he used. It was tempera paint.
Ah.
And he gave me some tips on, using a grease pencil to draw off the drawing, and
Yes.
put a little soap in the paint, so it'll be easier for them to wash it off later on.
Ah, I see.
So about 10 years old, I had my first entrepreneurial job, painting watercolor windows and things like that for Christmas.
Excellent. And they paid you for it.
Oh, I would get, I don't know because I was a kid,
Yeah.
but they would give me extra.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, they would.
So they were really pleased with what you were doing then,
Yeah.
obviously. Yeah.
I mean, I had a lot of McDonald's.
Okay.
In the black areas.
Yeah.
And then I had the Buick dealership. If anybody knows, they had a Buick dealership on Crenshaw.
Uh-huh.
And then they had one off of 43rd and Degnan. And I would do different car dealers as well. So,
and not just for Christmas, I'm guessing, right? You were doing their windows for other purposes?
I would do them for sales too when I got older.
Right.
And stuff. But in the beginning, my mom would just drop me off, and I would only be able to do one window, one McDonald's a day.
Oh, okay.
And stuff, 'cause I was going to school as well.
Of course, yeah.
And then as I got older and developed faster speed, I started getting faster, and I got 2 a day.
Oh, okay.
But I had a great upbringing in South Central Los Angeles. I mean, you have your bumps and bruises and stuff.
Oh, of course, yeah.
And got a lot of friends that didn't make it out.
Yeah.
But it's not the environment you come from; it's what you make of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm really pleased to see how you developed. I mean, it's incredible. So, would you trace your preference? Is it fair to say your preference is watercolor?
Yes, but I didn't. I started out in oils.
Oh, okay.
My oils looked like watercolors, but my oils didn't challenge me like a watercolor. I can do a oil portrait, just as slam, just like you.
Uh-huh.
And I was going to, after I graduated from Dorsey High, I went to Los Angeles Trade Tech.
Okay.
And I had an instructor named Mario Ruda, and he was very influential in my life, developing my talent, because I was going in there as a kid, a lot of ego,
Okay.
confidence and things.
Right.
And he took me down several pegs.
Brought you back down to earth, as they say.
Yeah, he brought me down to earth, I tell you that.
Right.
And so after, being in there and being under his tutelage, I developed, nice oil painting skills through him.
Oh, okay.
And I had went there for commercial art and sign graphics. I was a sign painter.
Oh, okay. So was that right after you finished Trade Tech, or during the time you were at Trade Tech?
During the time I was at Trade Tech.
Okay.
Yeah, I went in for commercial art and sign graphics.
Okay.
But I wasn't. I didn't like commercial art.
What was it about it you didn't like?
Maybe because the teacher was so structured.
I see. Yeah.
And
it felt too constrictive, maybe, or
yeah. And I teach now our elementary kids, and I say, think outside the box.
Yeah.
This example what I did, but don't do what I did.
I think that's a good thing. Opens up the creative spirit, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, who were some of your other influences as an artist? You mentioned your parents and the instructor at Trade Tech. Were any others?
Growing up, artists that I would see, I remember picking up an Ebony magazine back in the 70s, early 70s, and it had a image of a boy in a red cap. And that was the name of the piece. And I would sit up and draw that piece, not knowing who the artist was.
Uh-huh.
And years later, I met the artist, which was Joseph Holston.
Joseph Holston, okay.
Yes.
Excellent. And we should say, I think Joseph, if I'm not mistaken, he's based in Silver Spring, Maryland.
Yes.
Is that true? Yeah.
Yes.
And still working.
Yeah. Oh, he's still working. Yeah. And another one was Paul Goodnight.
Ah, Paul Goodnight. And he also is still working. Right?
Yes, he's still working. I talk with him off and on, and We've done shows together. I remember in my early stages, I did a show at Howard University, and Joseph was there. Paul Goodnight was there. Larry Poncho Brown was there.
Yeah.
And I got to meet a lot of artists coming up, and yeah, they were real good to me. So,
when you say good to you, were they encouraging you in the face of, you know, the trials and tribulations of any artist that might be
yeah,
in play?
Yeah, they were I've noted, and Joseph would say, you know, presentation is everything. You got to have a nice presentation, and carry yourself well. And I remember doing my first art expo in New York at the Jacob Javits Center, and I looked at his presentation, how he came out with his artwork and how it was framed, and the prices were on there. They wasn't handwritten.
Oh, right. It looked professional, basically.
Exactly. He said they're going to take you more seriously if you have a nice professional look. You know, I tell the young artists today, I said, spend some money on framing. Yeah. I said, archival framing, you got to do have to do archival framing.
You know, I'm glad you bring that up too, because you know, as a gallery owner, I recommend that to the collectors that patronize my gallery. And so maybe we could just take a moment to explain to the listening and viewing audience what exactly archival framing is.
What acid, acid-free mats and everything.
Yes.
I don't frame in. People say, "Well, do you do metal?" No, I don't consider that.
Right.
I said,
and the metal we're referring to is the frame itself, right?
Yes.
The molding, I guess, would be metal molding.
Yeah, the metal molding. Yeah. And then they asked me, well, do you do, now they have plastic.
Right, right.
And I said, no. I don't do any plastic.
Just wood, right?
Yeah, every straight wood. Yeah. And you have the UV glass, UV plexi.
Yes.
I mean.
And that's an important thing to consider, because ultraviolet rays can break down the medium and dull or affect negatively the work of art, especially watercolor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Pastels are affected that way. Any work of art, actually. But you're right to say, hey, UV is important. And plexi too. It's lighter.
Yep.
And if God forbid, the piece drops, it won't shatter into many pieces. I'll just take a digression for a second and say, one time I was asked as an appraiser. A collector she inherited from her mother this wonderful piece by Charles White.
Oh.
And she had it shipped from, I think it was one of the southern states, I want to say Mississippi, to here in L.A. And she didn't get the right shipper, unfortunately. And the way they packed it, by the time it got to her, it was framed with glass. And by the time it got to her, the glass had turned into shards. It broke in transit and it nicked the piece in about 50 or 60 different places and basically ruined it. And so if it had been plexi, it would have been a different story. Even if it wasn't packed properly, at least that wouldn't have happened. So it's really important for, I think, plexi. Plexi is much lighter. It's a little more challenging to upkeep, but it's much, you never want to use Windex, for example, on it. You just take a damp cloth or even just a regular cloth and just wipe it down.
Yeah, because these are in plexi that we have in back of me.
Yes.
And it's a lot lighter than glass.
A lot lighter, right? So when that's the other thing I just want to touch on eventually, but you're unique in some ways. A lot of artists just only do the art. They don't really actually manage themselves to any degree. But you, on the other hand, you're in charge of your own work. Yep. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's a very fair statement. I buy fabrics and I buy my own linen.
Okay.
But I will design it. I do have a framer that puts it together.
Oh, okay. So you're involved in that aspect too.
Yes.
You say linen. And just, by the way, to back up for a second, you mentioned acid-free. That is so important because, paper normally has acid in it, but the acid-free is sometimes treated, but it's even better if it's just made out of cotton, right? I mean, that's the thing. There's no acid at all.
No.
Yeah. So that's what we kind of mean by archival. So anyway, thanks for bringing that up, and we digressed a little bit. But back to your development as an artist. When you look back on it, is there any other thing that stands out as really key to your development as an artist? You mentioned Paul Goodnight and some of the others, your parents as well, but is there anything else?
I have a friend, his name is Anthony McDonald, and he gave me my first, he invested in me in my first prints.
Ah, okay.
And this was back in the late 80s.
Uh-huh.
And what I came out with at that time, I'm real green and didn't really know the business. I just know I had a nice piece, a couple nice pieces. I came out, a friend of mine, she said, well, I want something for my daughter's room, something cheerful and nice. And so I came out with a children's Black Clown series.
Okay.
And I used her daughter as one of the models.
Oh, okay.
And I did. So my friend, he said, I was telling him about, to make some money, I need to make some prints.
Okay.
And so he said, well, how much do you need? And back then, when you did prints, they were offset lithos. I didn't have the money to do a serigraph or anything like that.
Right.
My work doesn't lend itself to be serigraph done.
Right.
So I did an offset litho, and I did one was called Sleeping Beauties, was a mother and child, and the other one was Dominique the Clown, and the next one was Purdy Girl.
So how many ended up being in the series, or are you still making more in the series?
I don't even do that
anymore.
Not anymore.
Okay.
It was getting started, basically.
Okay. And just to explain, so when you say offset, I'm thinking you're talking about a photo offset litho, right?
Yes.
So that's for the listening audience and the viewing audience. That why don't we explain what that is?
Okay. Offset lithograph is, I mean, it should be printed on acid-free paper.
Right.
And it's printed on a drum it's on a Heidelberg. Well, I printed it on Heidelberg presses back in the day.
Okay.
Which was a great press. And you have a metal plate, and it's the plate is turned, and the colors are on there and everything, and it comes off in a sheet.
Okay.
And I mean a roll, basically.
Right. And then it's cut later? Is that
yes, it is cut later.
And we should say that the artwork that ends up on the metal is actually from a photograph of the original work, right?
Right. Just like when they would do newspapers.
Exactly. So the printing method is similar. But like you said, though, preferably, I've seen it where it's not used on acid-free paper. Sometimes not. Most of the time, yes, though.
Yes.
But so yeah, then it's transferred. Did you limit the editions, or were they open editions mostly?
Those in the beginning, I did open editions.
Okay.
To get my name out there.
Right.
And as it went on, I started doing limited editions. I think the largest limited edition I ever did, which I will never do again, and that was one of my sports images that I came out with a baby sports image. And
so wait, excuse me, when you say baby, so the baby was the image itself that was like maybe dressed up in a sport uniform or something, or how did that work?
I had a folder.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, we can actually maybe show the viewing audience anyway, a slide perhaps, so we can kind of put it in.
Okay, yeah. The baby sports images that I had came up with at that time was one was called Magic and Bird, and that was called Let's Play.
So wait, they were you portrayed them as small children?
Yes,
Magic and Bird?
Actually as babies.
As babies, okay.
Yeah.
And were they in their basketball uniforms as babies?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And
I love it.
I remember that was the first one I've ever did. and my friend Anthony McDonald gave me the money to print those and stuff. But at the end, I said, yeah, you know, I had made enough money. I said, here's your money back. He said, no, I don't want it back. So he said, just keep on what you're doing.
Oh, wow. That's very generous.
And to this day, that man can walk in and pick out anything he wants.
I guess so. That's very generous. Yeah, absolutely.
Because he got the ball rolling for me.
Yes. And how big was that edition? You had mentioned it was maybe the biggest.
That was an open edition.
Oh, that was open edition.
Yeah.
But how big was your biggest edition, would you say?
The one I did with Cal Ripken when he broke the record. It was 2,000 and something games that he had continuously played.
Oh, yeah. And he was with the Baltimore Orioles, as I recall. Right,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Signed and numbered by him and me.
Oh, really? He signed him as well?
Yeah, because at that time, I was licensed with Major League Baseball.
Oh, okay.
I had a license with them. I had a license with the NBA.
Oh, wow.
And I had a license with the NFL.
Oh, my God. That's
and
awesome.
I had a license with MSL, soccer and NHL hockey.
I'm totally impressed. That's amazing, man. On the major sports organizations.
Yeah, at the same time, the first African American to hold all those licenses at the same time.
Congratulations, man. That's a big accomplishment. Yeah.
And so every year I would go to the Super Bowl. I had a booth at the Super Bowl. I had a booth at the All-Star festivities.
Oh, my God. You're making me totally jealous right now.
And so, I got to meet a lot of the different athletes. And things, and then that transpired in. I did stuff with boxing. I did an image with De La Hoya and Julio Cesar Chavez, two of the legends of boxing.
Oh, wow! And
I did a project with Mike Tyson as well.
Oh, no kidding! And what was that?
I did a baby Tyson, and I draw the baby, and actually the model that I used for the baby Tyson was the baseball player's son, Gary Sheffield Jr.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Which I met him, junior, at a NBA All-Star game.
The interconnectivity of all the major sports, that's awesome.
Yeah, and I seen his mother was coming through, and I said, oh, gosh, that would be a nice kid for one of my sports images.
Yeah.
And he ended up being the model for Mike Tyson, Charles Barkley, several other baby sports personalities that I had did over the years.
Oh, okay. By the way, how did they feel? How did Mike Tyson feel about your portrayal of him as a baby?
Oh, he loved it.
Did he?
Yeah.
Same thing with Barkley?
Oh, yeah, Barkley. Tell you a quick story with Charles. We were right on the cusp of getting licensed, and I had did the image and sent it to Charles's agent, and Charles had we were on the road and he was on the road, and we were trying to get it licensed for the Phoenix for the All-Star game so we can sell it there.
Oh, okay. And we should say at that time Barkley was a player for the Phoenix Suns.
Yes.
Right? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
And so we ended up getting confirmation, and it got approved and stuff. So we sold a lot of those, and all of the sports images. I would say 95% of the sports images I did were open editions.
Oh, okay.
And the Barkley wasn't limited. I did one with Dan Marino that was limited.
Oh, okay.
And
Marino, what a fantastic quarterback he was.
Oh yeah,
for the Dolphins.
And I'm trying to think of the other one. Oh, I did one with Keyshawn Johnson in USC.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, I did with Key, and I did one with Danny Rohrfel of the Florida Gators.
Oh, wow. So it went even into the college sports arena. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went into the college sports arena. But I still was doing the fine art side, because I would take my fine art to the All-Star games with me as well.
That's an excellent thing because your name gets out there with the open editions, but then they can see this other side of you that you're not just doing sports figures, but things like you're showing here in the background of this podcast, for example.
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. And then didn't see or read somewhere that you did something with Muhammad Ali? Is that true?
Yes. I never did any prints. I did like 6 originals, and he was doing a signing, and so I took one of the originals that I did. It was a baby Ali.
Okay.
And so the gentleman said, well, if he don't like it, he's not going to sign it. Oh. And so he said, well, if you confident, I said, I'm confident he's going to like it.
Oh, there you go.
And so so it was, and they had a line, and so it was my turn to come up.
Yeah.
And so they put the piece in front of him, and all he did, he just had a big smile on his face, and he got up out of his chair. I said, no, I said, you don't have to. He said, I got to shake your hand.
Oh my God.
And this is, I couldn't believe it, but he was one of the, I met a lot of people, but he was one of the nicest.
Oh my God. So about what year, can you recall roughly what year that was? I'm just curious.
That was in 98.
Okay, because I'll take a moment to digress a little bit too, because I did a show of Howard Bingham's photography at my gallery.
I know Howard.
Yeah,
I knew Howard.
Yeah, in 1993, and of course he was Muhammad Ali's official photographer from the time when Ali was calling himself still Cassius Clay. So he went way back. So we had this show, and Muhammad was there. And when you say the nicest person, that's exactly what he was. Very gracious.
Yeah.
And I mean, there were so many people at the reception. It was just incredible. And he stayed until he signed everything that everybody was presenting him. We were selling books and he signed them, of course, but people would thrust cocktail napkins in front of him and he would sign it.
Yeah.
And he wasn't, it wasn't like, he waited literally until everybody was finished. It was just a matter. I was just so impressed with him as a person. He was a wonderful human being in addition to everything else.
Yeah, I mean, and then I have one other piece on my wall that I did. It's not a baby image. It's Ollie and Frazier.
Ah, okay.
And it's a 54 by like 40.
So it's big.
Oh, it's big.
And is it an action thing? They're in the ring, or
yeah,
just
it's the Thriller in Manila.
Oh, oh yeah, right.
And
oh man, what an entertaining fight! It was a good fight. There was a tremendous rivalry between the two.
And when people come in my house and they come in the living room, they say, "Oh my God!" And then they'll look and they say, "That's signed?" And I say, "Yep."
Signed by
Ali.
Ali. Okay.
Yep.
Oh my God.
And stuff. I mean, the other 5 originals I sold, but I kept that one.
I can see why.
Yeah, I kept that one.
And what was it? Was it primarily watercolor, that medium?
Yeah, they all were watercolor.
So now we brought that. So what is so attractive to you about watercolor?
It was difficult. It was still difficult, but it was extremely difficult for me.
Yeah.
It challenged me, and it made me do better. I use a lot of papers, different watercolor paper. You have different textures.
Yeah,
you can use cold press, hot press, but I use the rough. I use a rough cold press, and it's I use either when I'm doing portraits or faces, I use 400 because I can scrub on it a lot easier.
Okay, so when you say 400, is that the thickness of it?
That's the thickness of it.
Okay.
It's like a board.
Okay. So that's pretty thick then, you say.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I see what you mean. And watercolor paper, by its very nature, absorbs much more than the other papers, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. And it's a layer on top of the layer technique that I use to get faces.
Okay.
To come out towards you, like this piece with Tupac. That's a giclée. That's not the original.
Okay. And so we should also explain what a giclée is. So it's very similar in concept, I would say, to the photo offset litho in that it starts with the photo, but it's all digital, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's an inkjet printer.
Inkjet printer.
And they're printed one at a time.
And I mean, Did you then put these other things on top, or is that part of the giclée as well?
No. What I did was when I was doing the original, I'm a collector of memorabilia, black memorabilia, and this is one of the, I'm trying to think, it's Vibe magazine.
Okay.
And that's when he had passed away. And this is a remark. And
so it's probably not, of course, the listeners won't be able to see this anyway, but even if you're looking at it, it's kind of probably difficult to see. But at the very bottom, it's RM, and then there's a line, and underneath it's 2 out of, is that 3?
Three.
3. 2 out of 3. So that means there's a total of 3 remarks.
Yes.
And how big is the edition itself?
Oh, the edition is only 10.
Only 10. So it's a relatively small edition.
Yes.
Are they artist proofs as well?
No, they're just LEs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's it then.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, so it's a total of 13.
Yes, all together.
Oh, wow. That's fantastic.
But
It's so incredible, the reproduction, and the paper looks very similar to watercolor paper.
that's like 550 heavy Somerset.
Oh, okay.
And it's some artists, it depends on what you print on. I print on the heaviest paper.
Okay.
And
you like the heaviest paper because what?
it gives you the feel of an original when you touch it.
Because when I look at it, it looks like an original.
Yeah. And if you feel that paper, you said, because I've had people, when I ship them out, they said, "You sure you sent me a print?"
Right.
And I said, "No, that's the print."
That's the print. Yeah, because again, I saw the RM and the corner down there. Mm-hmm. I was going to ask you about it because looking at it at the first glance, I would think it's an original, but it's obviously, as you say, it's a giclée. Awesome too. I mean, you've got the CD, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that is, and each remark has a different CD on it.
Really?
Yes.
So that you did put on top. That's not been reproduced.
No, I did put that on top.
Yeah.
And no other remark will have that death roll.
Okay. Oh, okay. So each remark has its own. So that's what you mean by remark, right?
Yeah.
Right. It has elements that were added after the thing was printed.
Correct.
Yeah. Fantastic. And man, I tell you, so the original
doesn't have the death row and doesn't have the CD, and it doesn't have the front cover of the CD. All Eyes on Me.
Oh, okay. Okay. And the original started out as a watercolor as well, right?
Yeah, the original is just like this, except without
those elements.
Those elements in it.
Oh, okay. And you signed it at the bottom and dated it. It's dated 2022, so it's a recent recent edition. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Was the original also created in 2022? Or?
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. It's really, really nice. Very nice piece. And while we're on the subject, then the other piece right behind you, can you tell us about that one?
Okay, this one is called She Evolves, and this is number 3 of 20.
3 of 20. So that means there's 20 in the total edition. Are there any artist proofs on that one?
There are artists. There's only 4 artist proofs on this one.
Okay.
And let's see.
Any remarks or not remarks?
There are no remarks on this edition.
Oh, okay. And what's the printing method on that one?
This is giclée.
That's also giclée.
Yeah. Everything I do is a giclée now.
Oh, sure. Because we should say, from an artist's point of view, tell me if I'm right about this, but if you do an offset litho, you have to commit to whatever the number is in the beginning. If you're printing 1,000, you got to do all 1,000. But if you do giclée, you can do 1 today, maybe 10 tomorrow. You have flexibility.
Right. And flexibility and less expensive.
Exactly, because the startup cost for those offset lithos is pretty steep.
I would imagine. Yeah, I remember I was, back in the day, I was printing, and it would be like 4,000 for each run.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. You have to come up with that all up front.
Yeah, and I remember another artist friend of mine. He came in one time. He said, "You got the printer all backed up because I think I had over 200,000 different prints being printed.
Oh my goodness! You're basically dominating the machine, right? You had so much to print.
Yeah, that was Charles Mills. He had came in there.
Charles Mills.
Yeah. And because I would do press checks at 12 midnight, 1 in the morning.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to go through the traffic and everything like that.
Sure.
And so just going out, and that was in Rancho Cucamonga, the printers and things, and City of Industry back then.
Yeah. Wow. Interesting. So when it comes to subject matter, we had already spoken about, and we could see the Tupac, for example, but when it comes to subject matter, other than sports figures and persons like Tupac, what other things do you like to create as a subject matter, I would say?
I'm known for my children.
Oh, okay.
As subject matter, and I usually some of my pieces and these are children of different nationalities that I use in my pieces as well. And I use kids because I'm still a kid at heart. And I can say, to me, I can say a stronger message with a kid.
I see.
And so everybody likes kids.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, the thing is, I think there was another artist, he's deceased now, but for him, children represented hope for the future. That was like kind of one way that he used it anyway. I'm not sure if that applies to you or not, but that was definitely an interesting way of using a child as a symbol, really.
And there was one other artist that I remember back in the day, and I God rest his soul, Carl Owens. He did some incredible work.
And focused on children?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I would say, the children, they're like one of my all-time favorite artists is Charles White, though.
Charles White, yeah. We should say Charles White died in 1979, but he made a big impact.
Oh, yeah.
He taught for a while at Otis.
Yeah.
Did you ever take any classes from him?
No.
Okay. But I understand, too, from him and William Pajot and some of the others, they would go to Brockman Gallery, and there would be this gathering, and there'd be like an opportunity to critique everybody's work, including their own work. It was like a time that seemed really, I don't know, it's just cool because it's a commercial gallery, but it was a gathering place for the artists. And, of course, Dale and Alonzo Davis, they were the ones that started it. And so they're artists themselves.
Yeah.
So that was kind of a cool thing. Did you ever interact at all with Brockman Gallery?
No.
I know it goes back a while because I think they closed, in the 80s or something like that?
Yeah, they closed in the 80s. I'm trying to think of the galleries back. I remember, it was a gallery and it sold prints. I'm trying to think of the gentleman that had the gallery in Los Angeles on La Brea.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name either. Oh, gosh.
And he would have stuff just laying all around.
You mean a little too crowded, right?
Oh, it was like a swap meet in there.
Swap meet. There we go. Yeah. Oh gosh, I can't think of it. I remember the gallery people telling me about that one.
Yeah,
I'd never actually seen it myself.
Yeah, he was there for a long time.
Yeah.
I never took my work there. I would just see people's work. He'd set it out there on the sidewalk and stuff. But hey, he made a living at it, and he did well. He was there for years.
Yeah, it worked for him. Yeah, absolutely. Did you ever participate? I know at Barbara Wesson used to organize these art things at different malls at different times and so forth. Did you ever participate in any of those?
Yeah. Baldwin Hills Crenshaw Mall.
Yeah.
Barbara Wesson. She was very influential in my upcoming and thing with my artwork.
Yeah, and we should say she was an artist as well as somebody that organized these things too.
Oh yeah, she now lives in Atlanta.
Yeah,
and Barbara would put on one of the best shows in the country. She did not. You couldn't have your art sitting on the ground.
Right.
It had presentation was everything.
Yes. I remember one time she organized the thing at the Crenshaw Baldwin Hills Mall, and Tina Allen was there. And it was really cool because the way they set it up, it wasn't just showing her finished work, but she was actually working on clay models.
In progress.
In progress. So it was like a great opportunity for people to see an artist at work.
Yeah, Tina, she was great. I miss her.
Me too. She passed away way too young some years ago. She was a very talented artist.
Oh, yes. And she had a lot of energy.
A lot of energy.
And she would talk to you.
Yeah, yeah.
She would be up there.
Oh, yeah.
Working on the sculpture and talking to you
at the same time. Yeah, exactly.
I really admired that about Tina.
Oh, absolutely. Now that I brought that up, by the way, can you kind of talked about it a little bit, but I was wondering if you could maybe elaborate on your own working method. How do you as an artist approach a certain piece?
People I'll be working on a piece. Somebody will come by my studio which is in my living room, and people will come by and say, and I'll be sitting up there painting and talking to them at the same time.
Oh, okay.
And they would always ask, "You mind if I look at you?" I said, "No, I don't mind if you look at me. You can ask me questions while I'm painting."
Yeah.
And
that doesn't distract you from what you're doing.
Doesn't distract me at all. Okay. People say you can paint in chaos and it doesn't bother you. I said no.
That's awesome. That sounds just like what Tina was doing, really, how she was working, and people imagine she's in a mall and all these people just approaching her that way too. So that's incredible.
Yeah, I haven't. I think I did that once. I tried to paint. I did the Beverly Hills Art Show one year, and I needed to finish a portrait, and I was working on a portrait, but then I had to do sales.
Okay. You know what? That brings up a good point. So you actually get involved in the business portion of your art. Is that true?
Oh, yes. I'm always involved in the business part of my art. I've had people, they sell for me too. Mm-hmm. And my partner in crime, she sells. I mean, if I'm doing something, I'm handling the sale over here, she's handling the sale over there.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I don't have a problem with somebody selling for me, but I enjoy selling.
So you like the interaction with the customer.
I love the interaction with the customer, and especially they get to ask me questions. You know, how did you get from here to there?
Yeah.
And I did last year when I did the Beverly Hills show, I had these group of young ladies come up and say, "Well, I work in watercolor and I can't get it like that." And I explained. I said, "That's just regular table salt that I just throw in the piece." And it disperses it.
It's funny you said that because William Pajot loved watercolor too, and he explained that exact same. I was wondering, kind of like a little starburst effect in the paint.
Yep.
And you get that just by sprinkling the salt on there.
And I always explain. I said, "Now I can't do this again." I said, "You can't tell salt to go this way. It's not like you can do an oil,
right?
Well, you can virtually duplicate it,
right?
Can't do that with a watercolor.
Right.
Once it's there, it's going to go anywhere it wants."
Exactly. And, that's the other thing I think we should maybe bring out is that with oil, it takes a while for it to dry. You can kind of play around with it for a little while. Watercolor, like you said, right? You just put it down there, and that's it.
Yep.
There's a spontaneity involved, and I think that's one of the things that's interesting you say because it was a challenge for you as a watercolor painter, and I think Pajot was saying the same exact thing. And he liked that about it, and you just kind of like, you're in the moment, and that's it.
Yep, you're in that moment. I did a piece on Hendrix, and I was playing Hendrix in the background.
Oh, really? Yeah, I'm a fan of Jimi Hendrix too. So, by the way, I remember. So we should tell the audience that you and I were on a panel recently for the Shepherd Mullen Law Firm. It was a Black History Month event, and they invited the artist, yourself, of course, included, to bring some pieces. And I just remember what stood out to me was several pieces that were collages, and you had clippings from Jet Magazine and Ebony and so forth. that had historical figures, gosh, why am I blanking out all of a sudden? But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could maybe elaborate a little bit on those historical figures that you clipped out of Jet Magazine and Ebony.
Okay. As I said, I'm a collector of books and magazines, and Eric seen several pieces, and it depends on who I'm, what historical figure I'm working on.
Yes.
And like
Emmett Till, that's the name I couldn't bring to my mind.
oh, okay, the Emmett Till
yeah,
piece.
you had an Emmett Till piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a it was a Jet magazine when Emmett Till got killed.
Right.
And people said, well, you tore up the magazine. I said, yeah, but I have 3 more left. I said, I'm not going to use it unless I have extra magazines.
Right.
And it tells the story of what happened.
Right.
And I tell people this is an art history piece. See, and it tells what happened to him. And these are our actual magazines from 1955, 57.
Right, when he was actually murdered.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I have one piece that my old lady wanted me to bring, but I told her, I said, no, that is too big.
Oh, the size of the piece itself was big.
That piece is called The Reckoning, and it took me over a year and a half to do.
Oh, wow. Well, what's the subject matter?
The subject matter is about the different things that have happened to us
as African Americans.
Yeah, over the years. And
from slavery or more recent?
It is recent. I think the earliest I have on there, I have a newspaper from Black Wall Street in 1921 that's on there. This is the original newspaper.
No kidding.
When Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma was bombed.
Oh, wow.
And that's the original newspaper that's on that piece.
Wow.
And then it goes from there. I have a picture of Emmett Till in the corner. And then it starts to go from Emmett Till to the 1965 Watts riots, which is the original newspaper on there.
Oh, wow.
And then it goes on there from Breonna Taylor.
So it's more recent. It comes up to almost present.
Yeah, but it kept changing over that year because Breonna Taylor had gotten killed.
Oh, I see. So it evolved as things were happening, is what you're saying.
Yes, and as it happened, like I have a record on that piece by Sam Cooke. It says a change is going to come. Oh, wow. And then it goes from...
So the record, excuse me, is a 45? Because I remember one of the pieces you had at the event we were at, you had an actual 45 RPM record.
And that is an actual 45 RPM record, but it is a promotional copy.
Oh, wow.
Promotional copies
which is even
white,
more
very
rare. Yeah.
And from that one, it goes to Marvin Gaye's What's Going On.
Oh, wow. I'm getting chills as you're describing this thing,
and
man.
Then as it goes on to the next, it's on the last record is Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes, Wake Up Everybody.
Oh, wow. And that's when Teddy Pendergrass was still part of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes, right?
Yeah, the best years of Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Exactly. Wow. And that's the thing, people don't realize that Tulsa situation, in that case, the black community was attacked, right?
Right, and bombed.
Bombed by, let's just say it, white racists, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Pretty incredible situation in the United States, man.
I had displayed it at the Beverly Hills show for the first time last year.
And what was the reaction? Did you get?
I came in third place, and
so that was like it was a contest more or less.
They judge you as a whole, your artwork as a whole at the Beverly Hills show.
Okay.
And what happened was the coordinator for the Beverly Hills show said, "Hey, you have a huge crowd," because my booth was facing Santa Monica Boulevard.
Okay.
And so I had the piece, and as you drive down Santa Monica, you can see the pieces because the piece is so huge.
Oh, right, right.
And actually, Omar,
Oh, yeah, the organizer for the Shepherd Mullen event that we were
he
at.
said he stopped because he seen the piece.
That's what stopped him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
powerful. It sounds like a powerful piece, obviously.
Oh yeah. I mean, I took it to one other show, and I had a lady. She just cried.
Oh wow!
I had several people that cried, but she was just broke. She just broke down.
Wow.
And she said, the Watch Riot really touched her. She remembered a lot of stuff from the Watch Riot.
She lived through it.
Yeah, she lived through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she lived through it. But like I was telling the lady, I said, I have a piece on the Holocaust too.
Ah. So it's not, you're not only focusing on African American history and culture. You're broadening your horizons. Yeah.
It's called Children of the Holocaust, and actually Ken Burns just did a documentary on U.S. and the Holocaust.
I saw that actually.
And what I'm gonna do after the show, I'm gonna send you that piece, and you can see. And I have.
You mean it's included in his documentary? Or?
No.
Oh, okay.
This is it says the U.S. only wanted to pay a certain amount for each Jewish person,
right?
And that's in a Look magazine. That it says no, we only want to pay this amount.
It's like a negotiation.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And you had the actual clipping, and you included it in the piece.
It's in the piece and stuff. I did I got part of Auschwitz in there and everything.
Wow. That's also sounding very powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, and the children that I use are friends of mine. They're Persian Jew and everything. A friend of mine, his daughter and his son.
Were used as models?
Yes, and models in the piece, and they're looking down at all what's going on.
Oh, wow. How recently did you do those two pieces, just the Holocaust piece and the other piece that featured Tulsa and some of the other things coming up?
The Holocaust piece was done about 7 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And the other one, The Reckoning, was just done last year.
Last year. Oh, okay, because that's where I wanted to see what you were. Obviously, this piece here you just did, and so this is the kind of thing you're working on today.
Yes.
The subject matter for the piece right behind you, for instance, I was trying to understand some of the symbols there, like on the left of her face.
Okay, the symbols in that piece represent strength, power, and her intelligence.
Oh, okay.
And they're Egyptian Egyptian symbols.
Egyptian symbols, great. And how about to the right of her, those shapes?
Those are the African symbols.
African symbol, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. I love it. And what do they represent, the African ones?
They represent her. I have I write it down because I don't remember, but I remember what each symbol means, and prosperity.
Okay.
She's a monarch and stuff, because it's called She Evolves, and that's why you see all the colors in her. She's evolving.
Ah, okay.
Because over the years, our black women have to evolve, and that's where you see all the salt. She's evolving all the different colors.
Yes. Okay. Ah, excellent. I love that. And so you're doing these kinds of things today. Mm-hmm. One other thing, by the way, that you're doing that you mentioned at the Shepherd Mullen event I talked about was that you spend time giving back, so to speak, mentoring and so forth. I wonder if you would tell us about that.
Okay. I do a mentorship art after school art program with the Richardson Foundation, which is in Inglewood, and I go in and I spend 2 hours and teach the kids art, because it's not in our schools anymore.
Sad to say, that's so true, right? It's like almost always the first thing to go when the budget gets tight.
And I remember a couple weeks ago, he had some investors coming through, and they were amazed. Actually, it was King's just before King's holiday, and I had did a project, and they had to do Dr. King, but I had did it like a silhouette, but I said I want you to use all kind of different colors. I said he was a man of all colors.
Right.
So the investors coming in there said, oh, they wanted to stay and look.
Oh, awesome.
To see what the kids came up with.
And excuse me, about how old were the kids?
The kids are 3rd and 4th graders.
Oh, wow.
And so they came up with some incredible images. I mean, they own colors. Some used only 3 colors. Some would use 5 colors, a rainbow.
Oh, okay.
Colors, but each child's image was totally different from the next.
That is so cool.
And that was 25 different kids, and they were all different.
Wow. That's amazing. And also amazing was, so the question was put to you at that event, you know, what do you consider your greatest achievements? And you listed this type of thing, working with these kids. I thought that was the most beautiful thing.
Yeah. I mean, the children are our future, and they're going to tell you the truth.
That's the thing, right? Like it or not, sometimes.
If they don't like it, they're going to tell you
They'll
the
let
truth.
you know.
And I tell the kids all the time, I say, okay, what do you don't like about this project that we're doing? At the end of the project, I said, I always get feedback. I said, I have people critique my work. I said,
and what was some of the things that they might have said that might stand out? I'm just curious.
I said, well, I want to anime, you know, the character.
Oh, yeah.
They said, well, I want to do something with anime. You need to come up with a project anime. I'm always listening to them with different ideas.
Yes.
And then they said, well, I want to use more color pencil and watercolor. I said, okay.
Okay.
And then one came, I said, how about pen and ink and watercolor? I said, okay.
I love it.
But they keep me on my toes.
Yeah.
And it's honest critiques and things. Because like I said, everybody don't like faces. Everybody likes different things.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool that you open it up to them and let them participate in that way where they can kind of help direct their own instruction. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and try to teach them not to have thin skin.
To accept criticism. Maybe.
Yeah, exactly. I said, I mean, I've been criticized a lot. I said, I don't take it. I take it as a positive.
Well, that's the thing. You know, I think the word criticism itself is taken on a negative connotation when, I mean, sometimes the giver of the criticism maybe is in a put down mode, and that's not a very pleasant thing. But a lot of times it's just somebody saying, "Hey, this is how you can improve." It's a positive thing.
Yeah, I made a lot of people eat their words over the years.
Right.
I mean, I remember my sign painting instructor told me, "You're not going to make it in this class."
I hate when somebody comes across like that. That's terrible.
He was an old drill sergeant, and I proved him wrong.
Congratulations on that.
And to the day he retired, he would have me come up there and speak to the class.
That's to his credit then. He was able to accept that you did prove him wrong.
Oh, yeah. I definitely proved him wrong. And even my teacher, but Mario was always encouraging. And one of my fellow classmates, he brought me a book over, and he said, yeah, Mario would always brag about you. And he said, he's making money with his art. I ain't making no money.
Excellent. So we're running a little short on time, but before we go, I just wanted to give you the opportunity to tell folks what to expect from you in the near future. Anything you want to let us all know about that you're working on and that we can look forward to seeing?
Okay, my next piece that I'm working on, and I'm calling it. I haven't. I don't. I'm calling it the GOAT right now.
Okay. As in greatest of all time, GOAT?
Yes.
Okay.
And the title might change and everything because I look for people to give me and say, would you name it? Because I don't name everything. That's not me.
Right.
And I'm doing a piece on Serena and Venus.
Ah, okay.
And I've compiled a lot of things from '98 and articles and everything over the years.
So this will be a kind of a collage then?
This
clippings of that? Okay.
Definitely a collage.
Okay. Fantastic.
And things. And that's my latest piece I'm working on right now. And just enjoying working with the kids. Just, we're going to do a mural project next.
Ah, excellent. And where will that be?
It's going to be at the Dolores Richardson School in Inglewood, California.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we'll all look forward to that. Well, Kenneth, thank you so much, man. This has been an enjoyable time talking with you today. I want to express my appreciation for you sharing your perspective. And thank you all out there for tuning in to Eric's Perspective. Please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.